So that didn't go to plan, but instead of being defeated, I am going to do a separate part of the build, which you can do without the components, which is liquid cooler and the case. So I'm going to set up the case and install the liquid cooler, which apparently you can do with this case because it all comes apart. It's not to say I won't be doing any more testing on the internals. I called the company, they gave me a troubleshooting guide. I can also just reorder all of the parts, send the ones I've got back. But anyway, let's look at this beautiful case, because apparently this one is beautiful. So many things to read. Well, I won't be building it right now, so I'll come back later. And we're back. I'm going to try and shoot some trouble. So we've got the entire setup here ready to go. The first things first, I'm the realist. Hopefully this works because I don't want to buy new parts. So apparently one of the things I was doing potentially wrong is that the RAM needs to be pushed in quite hard. So even though it clips in, apparently it can go in quite hard. And because I've bought a liquid cooler, I have to take these off. Thank goodness for metallic, no, magnetic screwdrivers. So I'm just taking them off for now. I'm not actually going to do anything with them. Right, and this is potentially the malfunctioning piece. I'll put these back in first. Apparently you have to force them down quite hard. Let's ram down. It's just obscenely large, isn't it? Like I think it's cool, but there's no doubt that it's just an obscenely large graphics card. Obviously, the guy who I spoke to, the company I spoke to, said that the likelihood it was the motherboard, which I didn't buy from them, causing the problems. I was like, yeah, of course. Convenient that. Anyway, I have my hand shaking, which is weird because I don't feel nervous, I say, as I drop my screwdriver onto the motherboard. What makes me feel better about this build though is that I watched a couple of tech YouTubers and they were saying that they tested anti-static stuff, but specifically from the viewpoint of how much voltage would it require for you to actually mess up a computer part, and it turns out it's a lot. But the argument they make is you need to be less worried about frying the circuit static and more like how many years of life and service you'll take off. That's that mounted. Now I need to test it. Had I just plugged in the wrong things? No, surely not. Surely not. I swear this didn't come apart last time. I actually think that might have been it from last time. I think I might have just not plugged them in right. One it is, right? After this, there's potentially one other thing I can try to start with. Now CPU and RAM again, which isn't ideal. Oh, boys, oh, boys. We had a boot. Okay, we can work with that. So now what I'm thinking is maybe it just needed to boot up and run through all of the numbers to believe I just need to keep spamming this. And it just needs to be able to stay on long enough. There's one thing it said is that I might have to update the BIOS, which is fine because I can do that. Yeah. Oh, it's all good. Oh, damn. Ran through a few numbers there. Alright lads, we're going again. As we've seen some progress. Damn, I really thought we were getting somewhere. I'm going to reset the CPU and see what happens. Somehow we've gone from getting very far to getting nowhere. Not a nice place to be in. We've gone from having one warning light back to two. So the first one is the CPU. It's still showing red, which is not good, because it just means it's not picking it up, obviously. And I'm thinking it's maybe a motherboard issue. It's not even posting. What's more frustrating is the first time I built my computer, I didn't do anything like this. And I know it was a different computer, different components, but maybe I was lulled into a false sense of security first time around. Oh, it's adult Lego. It could just be that my CPU is getting too hot. So I figured out part of the problem is that my CPU is just getting too hot. And obviously me trying to reboot it is just making it hotter and hotter, which is then not allowing it to go through the boot stages. So what you're supposed to do is boot it up quickly, check everything's working, and then shut it down. And I've not been able to do that. PC. Reserved for future error codes. That is not what you want to see, boys. I think it's just a case of having to buy the parts again. At least the graphics card works. Gonna try one more. Gonna let the CPU cool down a bit. Try one more, and then I'm gonna call it a night. Lads, I think I know what's wrong. My CPU is getting too hot, and it's overheating because the lights go off after a while, and then it just shorts because, yeah, it's too hot. So I'm going to do something I didn't want to do at this time, and I'm going to put the liquid cooler on. And the reason I didn't want to do it is because I know it's a massive faff. I don't then want to take it off. But the light is going off, so I know it's not my CPU. And I'm just being a little bit of a baby. Because when I built my last one, I just put the stock cooler on because I wasn't going to overclock it. But I've bought a beast of a CPU that is, I believe, designed for overclocking. Could be wrong. Just a bit scared because I've never installed a liquid cooler. Lads, we're in. We're in. Just needed to connect the CPU cooler, obviously, which is awesome, but also means that I can't disconnect any of this because it's all working, which means I have to build the entire thing, which is very exciting, also very scary. At least everything's showing, which is sick. I'm really not happy with my thermal paste application, but it seems to be keeping it cool, I think, for now. I'm going to call it a night, and then I'm going to come down and finish the build tomorrow. So I didn't go to bed last night until half 12. Because I got excited with the case. And so this is what I'm working with. CPU cooler installed, GPU motherboard installed, power supply in, basically just cable management at this point. And then hooking up all the case things like the IO and the fan. So that's what this morning's job is. It's got these really useful pockets for cable management. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be relatively easy. Okay, get to it. And just like that, it's done, lads. It is fully built. And I didn't even skimp on the cable management. Look at that. So clean, so crisp. I don't regret it, although that's like 5 hours of time taken to build it, which is a bit like trying to put together your own training and nutrition when you could just have someone to do it. You absolutely can do it, and if you take the time, you will end up with something well worth it and exactly to your specifications. But sometimes it's just easier to pay someone to do it. And on that note, that's the end of this build. I should probably plug my coaching, shouldn't I, having said that. If you want someone who can't just build, who can not only build an absolute monster gaming rig, but can also build an absolute monster training and nutrition program, check out my one-to-one coaching. There's a link below. Click it, check it out. This bad boy will feature a lot more on this channel. So if you're just here right now for the gaming stuff, don't worry, it's coming. I'll leave it there in a bit.